Today on the DML News podcast, Donald J. Trump makes garbage pretty again. And we've got more stories for you about voting issues, machine issues, password issues, and Harris's FEMA is screwing the linemen in North Carolina. Can't make this stuff up. But then again, Democrats will be Democrats, and we will be conservatives, and we're all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. We appreciate you coming in and spending your morning with us. We know there's other people you could be listening to, but because you are the smartest people in the country, you know that you come to the best show there is. We've got a really smart guy across from me. That's my son, Denny. And, of course, we've got Ryan. Ryan's on the controls. And we are family. We come to you here every single day. And in fact, for the election, we've been doing it at nighttime as well. So if you don't have the DML News app, download it for free from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and you won't miss a show. And that's really that. Also, real quick, before we get into the nitty-gritty, dmlcbd.com/BOGO, B-O-G-O. We have a buy one, get one free. It's our last one of the year. If Kamala Harris is the president, my God, not only will we have a lot of problems, but the BOGOs will go away. So you want to load up. There are people who are buying right now. There's one guy who just bought 2 years worth of supply, and I can't say he's crazy. So, a lot of people going in there and buying at least 1 year or 6 months worth of stuff. So make sure you get in there and you do that now. I don't know about you, but I don't expect much from Joe Biden. Zero, actually. We debated whether or not we were going to cover the story of Joe biting little babies last night during a Halloween party at the White House. But we said, why? It wouldn't shock anybody at this point. Neither would it be if he was sniffing a little girl's neck or playing with her hair, all the different wacky things that he has done over the course of time. Joe Biden is going into the bucket of irrelevant. So why show him? Why not just focus in entirely on Kamala Harris all the time? And I'll tell you why. Because the two of them are a duo. And for any person out there right now in the United States who thinks you're going to get something different than what you had with Joe Biden, you're insane. You need to worry less about who you're going to vote for and more about what doctor you're going to go to, because your brain is shrinking. It's the only person who would vote for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden is somebody who has a shrinking brain. It just doesn't fire correctly. If you think that Kamala Harris doesn't think that you're garbage, oh, come on. If Kamala Harris cared about you, if she cared about your family, if she cared about what it was that you were having to deal with every single day for the last 4 years, she would have got on television and said, Joe Biden isn't mentally competent. She didn't do that because she's a liar. She's a liar. She'll turn her back on anybody and anything at any given time unless it means she's going to get ahead. Think about that for a moment. Joe Biden took Kamala Harris, who couldn't get through a primary. She never got a single vote from anyone, and yet she was put into the White House. I'll tell you why that is. Barack Obama wanted it. Because Barack Obama knows that Kamala Harris is a puppet that you could easily play with. All you need to do is give her up what she wants, and she'll give you anything you need. That's the way it plays out. But she's so disloyal. She is so ready to do whatever is best for her. She'll even take the people who got her to where she is and throw them under the bus. She has been, for the last 2 weeks, ignoring Joe Biden as if he has the plague. He's asked, can I campaign for you? I want to be out there. I want to do it because Joe Biden thinks he's relevant. Joe Biden will tell you that historians are saying that he's one of the best presidents of all time, when meanwhile, he makes Jimmy Carter look almost as strong as Ronald Reagan. She wants nothing to do with him, and she's been polite about it. Oh, well, maybe soon. We'll get back to you, when Joe is asking if he could be part of the campaign trail. Joe Biden's had it. Even though his brain is so far gone, he knows when something smells like garbage. Joe Biden got on the national stage and said that you and I are garbage. And Kamala Harris is trying to denounce that as if she doesn't agree with it. Kamala Harris has referred to Donald J. Trump as a Nazi, as a threat to democracy, as being somebody who is unhinged. So what can she possibly think of you? What would you possibly think of somebody who was to vote for somebody like that? I can tell you right now, anybody who votes for Kamala Harris in my brain is brainless. They're stupid. They're dumb. They got to check something because they're not voting for Kamala Harris. She has no record. And we're going to play a video for you towards the latter part of this show that is going to show that there's proof in that statement. The governor of New Jersey, who is a far-left Democrat, was challenged to say something that he likes about Kamala Harris, and he couldn't come up with one. Instead, he goes back to the play card, which is Trump sucks. You don't vote for somebody based on Trump sucks. The lies that have been told about Donald Trump over the course of time are endless. I can't even name them all to you. Russia collusion, all the different things they said he said about people that he didn't say. January 6th. The list is so long, we could do a whole 2-hour podcast just on the things they've said about Trump that are untrue. The one thing about Trump that you never have to worry about is he's never going to change who he is. If he says something, he means it. If he means it, he says it. He's not going to change his colors. He's not going to tell you one day he's Irish because he's dealing with the Irish of America, and then the next day tell you that he's got a little bit of Puerto Rican because he knows somebody who's from Puerto Rico. He's always going to be Donald J. Trump. He's not going to change his demographic. He's not going to change his nationality. He's not going to change anything. He's not going to let anybody buy him. Donald J. Trump is a brilliant man, not perfect by any stretch, but he's brilliant. And he knows how to deliver a message based on not what's on the teleprompter, not based on what somebody told him, but what he feels in his heart. What he feels in his heart. He's reactive. He sees something, he feels something, he says something. If you want to know who Donald J. Trump really is, you've got two choices. You can listen to the mainstream media give you this crazy narrative that this is Hitler's brother, even though he's done nothing to represent anything close to Hitler-like behavior. Or you can just listen to Donald J. Trump and watch the man and say, how is that guy a Hitler? Donald J. Trump yesterday decided that he was going to leverage the garbage statement, and he was going to stand in front of his supporters at a rally in Wisconsin, which is a swing state, and he was going to stand there dressed as a sanitation worker. He actually had a garbage truck pick him up, sat in it for a little bit, and then walked in, and he was, instead of wearing his traditional blue jacket with the American flag pin and a tie and a shirt and dressed always like $1,000,000, he decided that he was going to wear one of those vests that sanitation guys usually wear. And it's not written on a teleprompter like Kamala Harris needs. It's not something he thought in his head for hours and hours because it was spontaneous. He just spoke from the heart. He spoke from the gut. It came to him and it came out. He was funny. He was true. He was authentic, and he was all-American. Why anybody would want to deem this man a Hitler-like figure makes no sense. We are going to play, I think it's 4 minutes, a 4-minute video right now of Donald J. Trump standing on stage explaining why he's wearing his vest He is funny. He is real. And he is ready to lead. Hit it.
So this outfit, you know, is when he called us all garbage. How stupid. What a stupid word. That blows deplorable away, don't you think? Of course, I thought irredeemable when she said deplorable or irredeemable. I thought irredeemable was actually worse, but deplorable seemed to catch up. But this garbage stuff blows it away. So I'm in this beautiful plane. I'm enjoying myself. I have a wonderful suit on. And one of my people came in and said, "Sir, you know, the word garbage is the hottest thing right now out there. The hottest thing out there. Sir, would you like to drive a garbage truck?" Now, we're about, 30 minutes from landing. We had to do this pretty quick. I said, "It's sort of cool, though, isn't it? Because, And I said, I think that's okay. But, I don't feel comfortable wearing a suit." And they pulled up this garbage truck. I don't know how the hell they did it so fast. I have very capable people. They put a big sign on the truck. Did you see it? I think they showed it. Yeah. And then they said, "Sir, we have a vest." I said, "Well, should I leave my suit on and put it over the vest? But that doesn't look very good, right? That doesn't look good." So I said, "All right, look, let me take it off." And then I actually said, I climbed into the truck, but so I said, "How the hell do you get into this truck? It's way up high. It's a big one." This was a beauty. I said, "You didn't have to buy it that big, right? You have to get it that big?" They brought this brand new, gorgeous truck, wonderful driver. He looked like Cary Grant in his prime. You know who that is? This beautiful driver. And he drove that big thing up. And I said, "Man, this is bad, because now I have all the cameras are all watching. Look at all the fake news. They were most of them." No, most of them. Many of them were there, and I'm saying, "Oh, boy. One little mistake with these guys and your political career's over. You can't even..." So I said, "Man, if I don't get up there, this is going to be very embarrassing." These stupid people, they'll say, "He's cognitively and physically impaired." And I can't do that when I'm alongside of this great athlete. I got to get up to that. So look, the first stair is like up here. I'm saying, shit. So I had the adrenaline going, and I made it. I made it. And then I gave a little news conference from the front of they asked their wise guy questions and everything. And then we drove about 2 feet. I got out, got into the plane. And then I got in the car, and I'm driving over here, and I have this still on. And I come into the arena, and I say, "Where's my jacket? I want to get out of this thing." And they said, "It would be unbelievable if you could wear it on stage." I said... And I said, "No way. I got 25,000 people standing outside. I got all these people here. There's no way I'm wearing it on stage." They said, "Oh, okay, sir." I said, "Get me my jacket. But if you did, it actually makes you look thinner." I said, "Ooh." And they got me. I said, "I want to wear it on stage." When they said I look thinner, I said, "In that case, I'll wear it on stage." I may never wear a blue jacket again. I may go in this. I said that was the word. That was the key. "Sir, you look thinner. So anyway, so we had a little fun about a very serious subject. We had a little fun about a time where our country is not having a lot of fun because we're not doing well as a country, but we're going to be doing well very shortly. I promise you that.
You know, Dennis, one of the things he said is you can't be president if you don't love Americans. And Joe Biden has such vitriol and hatred for half of this country. And so does Kamala Harris. They're two peas in a pod. And for anybody to suggest otherwise is just stupid.
They're two peas in a pod, but with no synergy. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I mean, one, just watching that, if the presidency doesn't work out for him a second time, I think he needs to go into stand-up because he is so funny. But what a genius turnaround of, the garbage comment turning into, that as just something like kind of like with the McDonald's, the optics of, hey, let's honor, the people that go underappreciated, which is true, the sanitation workers, whether it's after a hurricane, whether it's just your regular Monday morning pickup, it's just another highlight of that every American worker is important. And that's what his whole campaign's been about. And when I say synergy, I mean, I know we're not the biggest Vivek Ramaswamy fans, but he's become super team Trump. He's out there, working with sanitation workers, trying to optimize on it. J.D. Vance, his vice president pick, is going on Joe Rogan after Trump just did it, because Kamala has these crazy, you got to come to me, for 1 hour, term limits with Rogan. So the people that Trump, especially this time around compared to 2016, that he's brought along for the ride with the campaign, you can see the synergy there. Like they're all about the messaging. Then how you mentioned in the beginning, and I was like so ready to comment on it, there has never been a synergy between Kamala and Joe Biden at all. And I think about it sometimes too, when everyone asks like, DML, what would you, do if you were president? And I know you got your elaborate, deportation plans, but I always wonder too, I'm like, I wonder who you would choose as your VP, because you need someone who's loyal, but you need someone who's not a yes man, but you need someone who's effective and powerful. And this is the first member of your cabinet that you're going to be choosing, but you need someone who's not going to overshadow you. Like it really does become an important pick. And there's just no doubt in my mind that Biden must be that just really angry old man. Like, not only did I not have a say in this woman, not only did I have to put up 4 years of not having any synergy with her because she's not really doing a great job defending me, but now here she is going contrast to my statement. Any Democrat that gets on CNBC or CNN that defends her, it's all talking points, no real passion or ambition behind it. Like, she really is a lone woman on an island when you think about it in her circle. And, even the Obamas, it's all artificial, obviously. So, I see something like that where Trump is just in the orange vest, and he said it towards the end. He's enjoying the moment, even though it is such a dark time in the country, and he's trying to make light of it, but he's also trying to just like bring the energy back of like, you're not garbage. Don't listen to Crooked Joe and don't listen to Kamala. Like, you're Americans with legit concerns, and I'm going to be there to make sure we fix what Kamala's broken.
I'm just between the video of watching Trump there and listening to your words there. And this is, I'm not going to bring this back meaning about me, but I can't tell you how many people have told me that there are an incredible amount of similarities between Trump and myself, especially when you talk about humor and sarcastic humor and just sort of off the cuff sort of thing. And there was another guy who was like that. And it was Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, like Trump, or some people would say like myself, was filled with personality, charisma, comedy, just can make people laugh just off the top of their head. And the difference between Reagan and Trump is the internet. No joke. If the internet and social media was not as prevalent as it is today, Trump would be beloved even more than Reagan. Because Reagan used the sort of style that Trump just used with the whole garbage man routine. That's the way Reagan sort of carried himself when he was speaking with people. Like Trump, he always looked like $1 million. Ronald Reagan always looked like he was ready to serve in some kind of movie. But he was light and airy and quick on his feet, as is Trump. The problem for Trump, and the reason why he doesn't get the accolades and the love that Reagan did on a wider stretch is because the media has such a bigger megaphone these days with social media and the advent of internet. So therefore, the hatred about Trump spreads. And it's amazing because it spreads by the same people who try to nail conservatives with fake news monikers. Everything they've said about this man is a lie and fake. And so if people can just strip away the media for a second, because I blame the media and Obama for creating the division in this country. If you just strip that away and just looked at Trump for what he's done in America the first 4 years and what he's doing now, he would be beloved by so many of the people who hate him. And, you know, last night I actually watched the movie Am I a Racist from Matt Walsh. And my favorite scene of it is he's sitting down with a guy, he's a black guy, simpleton, probably didn't get through high school, that kind of simple. And he said to the guy, he's like, hey, you know, the country's divided. And the guy said, no, it's not. He said, yeah, because you don't think I'm white privileged? He says, no, because I don't even look at your skin. And the guy was just so regular and normal. And it's this craziness that the media has put together that the country is racist and that it's anti this and anti that. And they put Trump in there. And it's a shame because, you know, one of the things I called for, people who listen to this show every day know, and you remember, about a month and a half ago, I called for Trump. I said, Trump needs to get out of that blue suit thing. He needs to go into supermarkets. He needs to go and do this. What are the three biggest events, notwithstanding him getting shot and the attempt on his life a second time? The three biggest clippings that he got when it's just Trump, he surprises a supermarket, he works at McDonald's, he appears in a garbage truck. And the reason why I called for that to happen is because his personality gets to come out even more so than it does on the stage. And people really get to see who that is. Can you imagine Kamala Harris doing even something remotely close? She can't. She goes into these stores, they got to close it down. They put fake actors in. She's sitting down pretending to have a beer with Gretchen from the governor, Gretchen Whitmer. It's so fake, it's so phony. You're never going to get Trump to do anything fake and phony.
The grocery one where she's like giving the Doritos from Doug, but then does the same exact thing 30 seconds with Tim Walz. Like
this is what I'm saying. So the idea that this man is Hitler and evil and going to send the military out and start arresting Democrats in the middle of the street. I mean, it's just such a false bullshit narrative. It's impossible for me not to get angry at the media for doing what they've done. It is impossible not to get angry for what they've done to this man.
Well, even the way they have reported on the Puerto Rico joke, the amount of different reports I have read where they, don't actually explicitly state that it wasn't Trump that does it. They almost leave that to interpretation. But then they just put the bias in there, like racist joke, offensive joke. And yet most Puerto Ricans, including that one official from Puerto Rico, don't give a damn. They just said hey, it's just a joke. And it's actually based on a truth of, the actual issues with the dumping of the garbage on the island site. So, there is an absolute desperation on the media's attempt to try and frame Trump as, this Hitler. Even another thing, I mean, you're going to find this just hysterical. There's this influencer, TikTok influencer, North Carolina girl, that the Harris campaign is actively seeking influencers that supported Trump but are abandoning support for Trump to come over to them. So they reached out to this girl, said we would fly you into one of her events. You could bring a friend. Expenses will be paid for, yada, yada, food too. And she was like, I'm not a Kamala supporter. I would never. And her husband said, you know what? Just play along. Maybe ask them if they would pay you $50,000. So then she responded saying she would take all of that as well as $50K for her appearance. And they agreed to it. Like that is
Oh
what
my
they
God.
agreed to it. And she was shocked. She was like, I can't, like, they are in capital D desperation mode.
Well, when you talk about desperation mode, I think we would be irresponsible not to repeat some of what we did last night's show because it was very powerful about some of the cheating that is going on. The one thing that we want to bring up right away is the voter ID. So if you look at this map here, and I don't know if you can see it through the cameras and stuff like that with the glares, but the states that do not require voter ID are in gray. And the map is huge, huge with this. It's blue if they do require it. It is red if you need to have at least, actually, what is it?
So if it's blue, it's yes, it's requested. If it's orange, it's required. If it's yellow, ID is required, but not photo ID. So it just has to be some kind of documentation. It doesn't have to be a photo of you.
Okay.
And then, yep, the gray is no ID needed whatsoever.
So one of the big stories yesterday is that Chinese national voted in our election, and we would have never found out about it had it not been for that Chinese national being just as stupid comes. I'm going to read to you, this is coming out of the Detroit News. A University of Michigan student who is from China and not a U.S. citizen allegedly voted early Sunday in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and is being charged with 2 crimes 6 days before a pivotal presidential election. The filing of the charges was revealed Wednesday in a statement from Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson's office and the Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office. The press release didn't identify the student, but described him only as a non-U.S. citizen. The 19-year-old individual from China was legally present in the United States but not a citizen, which meant he couldn't legally cast a ballot, according to information from the Michigan Secretary of State's office. He registered to vote on Sunday. He signed a document identifying himself as a U.S. citizen, and his ballot was entered into a tabulator, according to the Secretary of State's office. Later, the University of Michigan student, the Chinese man, contacted the local clerk's office, asking if he could somehow get his ballot back, according to Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. Now, that's when everything was discovered, that this guy was not allowed to vote, and yet he did. And the worst thing about it is that they can't delete the vote.
No.
Okay? It's going to be counted. And the Detroit News put this out. Under a 2018 ballot proposal that voters approved with 67% support, people can register to vote in Michigan up to and including on Election Day. Proof of residency for voting can include a driver's license, state identification card, a utility bill, or university records, according to the Secretary of State's website. A utility bill. So if you're an illegal alien and you move into a house and you're renting that house, that utility bill will be in your name, not in your landlord's name. So if you're Jose Cuevo and you live somewhere in Michigan and you want to go on Election Day and show your electric bill, you're okay to vote. If you're this Chinese man and you're going to wind up using your university records, you're okay to vote. This is insanity. And the left is going to try to tell us that our elections have never been more secure and that there is no chance for a major fraud to go through. Well, let me just say this. This is the one we caught. Imagine how many people are out there voting that we'll never know about. You know, the left will try to tell you that Trump perpetuated the big lie for years. How can it be the big lie? All this stuff is coming to the surface and we're seeing it in real time happen.
I mean, you need identification for driving. You need identification for certain medicines you want to buy, for alcohol, depending on who's screening you. You need ID to get into certain government buildings, and yet nothing for voter or for anything for voting in those states. There was even a thread on X about a guy saying how he volunteered his ID in a California ballot station, and got like dirty looks from the poll workers. Like, well, we don't need it. It's like, well, I just want to show it because I'm an American citizen. That's supposed to be the whole point of voting. And they looked at him with vitriol. So there's no explanation that the Democrats can give that would justify why you wouldn't have voter ID for voting.
Well, yeah, I mean, look. So if you look at the map, just on the swing states alone, right? Only Arizona has the yes ID is required.
But that's just ID without even photo.
Without a photo.
Yes.
Right.
So Jose Cuervo can show up and say he's John Smith, but doesn't need to show that the photo matches with that identification.
Right. So it's BS. The next swing state that you've got is Wisconsin. No, nothing required at all. Right. Another swing state in Michigan goes back to that they are going to request, as I just explained in that thing right there, so you could use your utility bill. Pennsylvania, you don't have to have anything, right? Nevada isn't a swing state, really.
But still,
some people consider it a swing state. We're not sure that we're going to take it or not, right? Same thing. And then Georgia. Georgia is requesting. It's requesting. So bottom line is there is a ton of fraud that is already taking place and potential for fraud to take place. Last night we explained, and this one takes the cake as far as I'm concerned. Although we've got another one that we're about to play for you in 2 seconds that is taking place in Colorado, which just will shock you. Although I don't know if anything shocks us anymore. But in Pennsylvania, and we said this last night. Did we say this last night or yesterday's show about the overseas ballots?
Yesterday's show.
Yesterday's show?
It was yesterday's show.
I don't know. I'm going to repeat it because it's so shocking. In Pennsylvania, you can be overseas, all right? And you can request a ballot. An absentee ballot. Now, absentee ballots were always designated for military members. So if you're over there serving in South Korea, you want to vote in the election, you live in Pennsylvania, you can, apply for a absentee ballot. Right now, as of October 21, over 32,000 absentee ballots have been requested around the world for the state of Pennsylvania, of which less than 6,000 are tied to members of the active military, which leads us to about 25,000 or more ballots have been sent to people that are not part of the military. The kicker is you do not need to provide any identification whatsoever that you are a U.S. citizen. You do not have to provide any identification or documentation that states that you actually live in Pennsylvania. So we've got 25,000 people around the world who are going to be able to cast a ballot from overseas in the Pennsylvania election, and it will actually be counted. So you can have people from Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, anywhere to be sending in ballots in the Pennsylvania swing state, biggest state to look for in this election. You tell me that's not fraud, I don't know what is. Now let's take it to Colorado.
Oh,
should we just play the video?
We could play the video. But I just want to make a quick reminder about who Jenna Griswold is. She is the culprit on all this. Jenna Griswold is a Colorado representative, technically the Secretary of State, Democrat. She's the one who spearheaded trying to get Trump off the ballot in Colorado from way back months ago.
So in other words, she's slime.
Very slime. And if you watch interviews with her, not a lot's clicking up there.
What Democrat is?
I mean, this
what
one
Democrat clicks?
She's got the crazy eyes.
I go back to, I watched that movie last night, Am I a Racist by Matt Walsh on the Daily Wire. It's a little slow, but ultimately it highlighted in clear color how insane the left is.
Right. Well, we'll have Ryan play the video, and then I can give a layman's explanation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So real quick, passwords.
Oh, well,
this story is about passwords to voting machines. Okay, passwords to voting machines. Play the video.
Passwords for Colorado's voting systems were posted online for anyone to see for months, if you knew where to look. Democratic Secretary of State Jenna Griswold's office apparently posted them online by accident. Griswold's office found out last Thursday and had not told the county clerks who actually run elections. Then the Colorado Republican Party went public today, demanding that Griswold secure those voting machines. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
The Colorado Secretary of State's office is required to maintain a spreadsheet of certified voting systems for each county. That's this list. At the bottom of any spreadsheet, you can have multiple tabs. You can also hide a tab. But if you post the raw spreadsheet to a public website, apparently anyone can also unhide the tab. This happened and apparently revealed one set of passwords for voting computers in Colorado. Next confirmed this with the Secretary of State's office today, but we learned about it this morning in an email blast from the Colorado Republican Party. The passwords had been up for months without it being known, and some, but not all, were current and active.
There are 2 passwords to get into any voting component along with physical access.
Democratic Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold explained how each computer component requires 2 passwords to gain access. The ones on the website were just one of the passwords, and it requires in-person access by multiple people, which is tracked by 24/7 video recording and badge IDs that record who has gained access.
We have layers of security, and out of just an abundance of caution, have staff in the field changing passwords, looking at access logs.
The truth is this a concern? Yes. Is it being mitigated? Yes. Does this mean that all of the computers are connected to the internet and that votes are being flipped? No.
Matt Crane is the former Republican Arapahoe County Clerk and current Executive Director of the County Clerks Association. He admits this is not great news, but not something that will compromise anyone's vote.
I want to stress here, this isn't all Republicans, but you will have some Republicans who will use this for political and financial purposes, whereas we as clerks, we will stay in the truth and honoring our oath of office to serve our constituents in a truthful and honest manner.
That guy's an absolute ass. Is an absolute ass. So
It's like, yeah.
I mean,
you can go for it if you want.
yeah, so the passwords, I mean, think about hackers, okay? They could probably get these passwords on their own anyway. But the hackers are going to go in there and see a spreadsheet that has a tab. They're going to unhide the tab. They're going to have it. We already know for certain that there are softwares that you can pull off the shelf that will allow you to go in and change the tabulation. And this idiot is going to sit there and tell you that there's no chance that your vote can be switched.
Without any concern that, again, this is coming from the office of the woman who spearheaded the entire effort to get him off the ballot, meaning Trump off the ballot. You don't make a mistake like that at all, especially when it comes to something so vital. So for him to try and downplay the fears is just another mitigation tactic that is not going to work. And my question would be, is Jena Griswold actually going to be held accountable? Because that's not the kind of accident you make where you just get a slap on the wrist.
I agree. So one of the things we've got to now change our effort into here is what you get if Kamala Harris is the president of the United States. Okay? We know without doubt that America First is what it is Trump stands for. He has never, ever given anybody any reason to believe otherwise. Kamala Harris, with Joe Biden, has championed for Ukraine first, open borders first, American citizens second. She'll deny this, but actions speak louder than words. In North Carolina, many weeks ago, there was a massive hurricane that was unexpected that created mass flooding. You remember that? Hurricane Helene? There are people who are still to this day without a home. They don't have anything. They're still not taking showers. They're on death's door. There are linemen. These are the people who create electricity up on the poles. There are linemen who are from all over the country in North Carolina working around the clock 15, 16, 17-hour days. So this way, people who they don't even know, but they're fellow citizens, can have restored power. And they can't get paid by FEMA. Kamala Harris will send $150 billion to Ukraine, but she won't pay the U.S. linemen. And if you don't think that this is going to be what your future is going to hold, you're crazy. Play the video of the lineman who is complaining and telling the story, who called up the press and said, please come here. We want to explain what's happening to us. Play the video.
Everything that they promised us, that they said they would come through with, nothing's being done. Well, the contract states that we would be paid next day, meaning that 14 days after our first invoice, we would start getting paid. So that means for anybody that was here from the 7th to the 13th, that should have been paid this Monday or Tuesday. We should have some type of money. We should have some type of purview. They didn't pay. They asked for another requirement stating, well, we need to use these codes and this has to be used. So we did that yesterday. We got that completed. We sent that in. Now they say, oh, well, from the 7th to the 13th, it's really such a mess. Why can't we just pay you from the 13th on? And we're like, no, you're not gonna skip us on paying us for a week when we've been here for almost 8 days, working every single day. It's nonstop. It's anywhere from 12 to 18 hours a day. We don't shower. I mean, most of us are tired. We just want to sleep. You know, and now we're gonna get the sleep that we're due, but I'm not gonna allow every single person here to put in this parking lot. They came for me. They came for my name. Everyone knows that my name goes with integrity. It goes. I mean, my motto is integrity is the benchmark for success. So everybody trusted me on my work. So when they think that I'm the one that's not doing it for them. So I called the news. I told everyone here to call the news. Everyone will sit there and verify that I told them to all call the news, to stand together, to put your buckets up in the air, to put up a stand, and that we will not move forward. We will not lift a finger until the money is sent to us and we can pay and take care of our families. Because our families have been waiting for 8 weeks.
Think about that. That Kamala Harris and Joe Biden will take care of foreigners before they'll take care of their own.
But are we shocked at this point?
No.
It's what has been done to that region. And, you know, I was actually looking at Trump's rally schedule. I think his very last rally for this whole campaign is this Saturday in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I'm sure he's probably going to hit it home about how, you know, Biden, Kamala, they failed that state and then the whole region of the Appalachians. And, you know, if the Maui fire response wasn't enough, I think people have just come to learn, maybe those that were independents in that area, that they're not looking out for Americans. If anything, they just find what happens to Americans in a situation like that inconvenient to what they're trying to do.
Absolutely. Now, one last point we want to hammer home here before we wrap up is when you go up to a Democrat and you ask them, or a Harris supporter, and you ask them to explain one good thing about Kamala Harris, you get crickets. It always comes back to Trump sucks. So we are going to play this video in its full entirety because giving you just a clip would not be enough. You need to hear the full 5.5 minutes of this interview. This is CNBC, which is normally a financial channel. You have the governor of that state, Mr. Murphy, who is a liberal, far left liberal as far as I'm concerned, and you got the hosts. The host, Joe, is clearly favoring Trump, but I've watched this guy for years, and he's a straight shooter. And then, of course, there's a second host who is a liberal, and you'll be able to tell when you hear it. But listen to this exchange. For those of you just listening, it starts with the host questioning the governor. Go ahead.
You like Kamala Harris, not just against it. So let me ask you, do you believe we should abolish the filibuster? And you can answer after I do it. How about getting rid of private insurance? How about taxing unrealized gains? How about nationalizing energy? How about mandatory gun buybacks like Australia? How about decriminalizing illegal crossings, ending cash bail, child gender reassignment surgery being paid for in prison? I mean, what are your, raising the corporate tax rate, what are your favorite proposals from Kamala Harris that make you like her so much? Which of
Joe,
those
for a Jersey guy, you sound like you're on the Trump campaign, for crying out loud. Come on, man.
Okay, well, which of those
you're
do you like?
cherry-picking stuff.
Which of those do you like? Which of those do you like? Which of those are you in? Are you in favor of ending the filibuster? We'll go one by one.
Yeah.
Are you?
It is. I'm not sure on the filibuster, honestly, but I think getting
so
fair
you're not going to talk about any specifics of what's that?
I said I think fair tax policy is
what does that
sensible.
mean? Fair. What does that mean? Fair.
Fair means you pay what you should pay.
Well, you know I live in your state, Governor. Do you think if I pay 55% total, is that fair for me, or do I need to pay 80%? What would be fair for you? Because I live in your state.
I know, Joe, I said that up front. Believe me, I know you do. But you sound like you're on the Trump campaign.
No,
I don't know what the right number is, but
go ahead, Andrew.
Well, no, I was going to say what I think is
what is
potentially unfair. Is I think that there's a number of things. There are a number of issues that were embedded in those questions of the governor just now.
He didn't answer a single one about what he's in favor of.
Well, but I think there were a number of those things that she's not in favor of. And that's
Joe,
the
hold on a
point.
second.
She's on the record on every one of these things.
Governor?
Many years ago.
Governor?
Guys, hold on a second. We passed a millionaire's tax 5 years ago. Everybody, Joe, including you, said it would drive people out of New Jersey. We have more millionaires today than we've ever had in our history. So tax fairness isn't necessarily a bad thing.
We have a very progressive tax system. Do you think we have a progressive tax system in the United States? Do you think it's not progressive enough, or are you talking about billionaires? I'm not sure because you know how much the 1% does pay the lion's share of taxes, of federal taxes. So what does fair mean?
Color me open-minded. How's that?
I'm sorry?
I'm open-minded. I've obviously voted with my feet. We have a millionaire's tax in New Jersey.
Would you tax unrealized gains?
We're not a low-cost state to live in, but we give you an enormous amount back for what you pay.
Are you
We're the number one state in America to raise a family.
But she has not made that argument.
Wild.
She's made the argument. She says she doesn't want to. Go ahead, Governor.
No, I'm saying I'm not wild about on unrealized gains. But I'm
what are you wild
open-minded.
about? What are you wild about? Not Trump?
Here's what I'm wild about. I'm wild about a democracy that works. I'm wild about the rich history of our country continuing for the future. I'm wild about opponents having a voice and having a seat at the table, as opposed to being thrown in jail or hunted down by our military. That's what I'm wild about.
But we might throw Trump in jail. The Justice Department was not weaponized under Trump. It's been weaponized under the current administration, right?
I mean, Joe, come on. You got to be kidding me.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't seen Trump. I haven't seen Trump throw anyone in jail, but I have seen a lot of lawfare against Trump.
There's no rational viewer right now watching this discussion that thinks that Harris is the authoritarian threat versus Trump. There's no one who's reasonable who comes down in that conclusion. How could you?
You just look around. I mean, you want me to go over the 5 cases that we're talking about? Alvin Bragg, you want me to? Those were all misdemeanors trumped up to felonies after the statute of limitations. You don't think that's lawfare?
Alvin Bragg doesn't work. Alvin Bragg doesn't work for Kamala Harris, and you and I both know that.
Okay, I'm talking about if either candidate is in danger of using the Justice Department to punish his enemies. What we've seen recently is not from Trump doing it. I mean, is there some reason you think that's going to happen with him? It's his rhetoric?
Joe, I'm having a hard time believing we're having this conversation. Are you kidding me? Did you see what happened on Sunday in Madison Square Garden? Have you followed what he said about what he's going to do against his enemies?
What Joe Biden said last night that all the Trump supporters are garbage, and that wasn't a joke. That was the president, sitting president of the United States, and that wasn't some comedian that no one knew what he was going to say. That was Biden himself. Did you see that? Trump supporters are garbage?
I saw it, and he said specifically it was about the people who were in Madison Square Garden, and you and I both know that that's what he said.
So they were garbage. Okay.
Governor, I want to thank you. I do want to just say one thing to contextualize it because I think it's important. There's one important point to be made. President Trump, when he was the president of the United States, did seek to prosecute Comey and Hillary Clinton, and his own Department of Justice refused to do it. Okay. But he asked them to do it.
Then there's an example on that side.
I just want to be 100% clear of the context of this. And it's, I say that, I hope I could say that apolitically, if that's even possible.
Come on, Andrew. You don't even need to try to say it apolitically. Just say politically. We have these discussions every day. Okay.
You know, a few days ago, we played a video that was an ad. It's a 4-minute ad. It was published about Kamala Harris, and it highlights who she is. And as an AG of California, she went after parents whose children were truant and didn't go to school, who missed school. And they highlighted 2 parents. One of them was a mother who had lost everything, went to being homeless, lost her job, everything, because Kamala Harris went after her. And it turned out to be that her daughter didn't go to school because she was disabled and she was in the hospital. And in that video, Kamala Harris says, and just with the wave of my pen, I realized I could arrest anybody for anything, even the lowest level of a crime. And they can lose everything. They could lose their home. They could lose this. They could lose that. And then weeks later, I could just dismiss the charges, but their lives would be changed forever. She said it with such evilness. It's the only time I've ever heard her actually speak fluently because it was coming from the heart.
There was an excitement.
There was an excitement. There was a devil there in her. This total loser from New Jersey is going to sit there and say, anybody who's watching this who is rational and reasonable, understand that Harris is not a threat. This Department of Justice that works underneath the White House, that she is running, arguably running the whole thing with Joe Biden being, has gone after Donald J. Trump for nonsense. They went after Donald J. Trump in Mar-a-Lago and is trying to bag him and put him in jail for documents that were in Mar-a-Lago. The same sort of documents were in Joe Biden's garage, unlocked next to the Corvette. They dropped that against Joe Biden, but they're going to go after Donald J. Trump. And we don't think that there is an imbalance of justice here?
I mean, look, as my final take on it, there is an imbalance. And even just watching that governor, I'm hoping your prediction that New Jersey flips to red happens just so it could be shoved in that governor's face. I'm sure he regrets that interview, but through the course of that, right, he has no solid defense about any of Kamala's policies. He tries to backtrack. He goes left. He goes right. And then what does he resort to? What they all do. Trump, 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 Trump.
Trump
That's
sucks.
all they have. Trump sucks. Trump is this. Trump. He meant the Trump supporters at Madison Square Garden as if that was supposed to be better, because those supporters, to my mind, are representative to where, if I was in New York, I would totally be at that rally, So Biden knew exactly what he was saying. Now, whether it was to sabotage Kamala because he hates her or because he's just old man Biden can be debated. But regardless, he said true feelings of how they feel about the Trump supporters. And, that CNBC guy, Kernan, hit it right on the head. But, what we have seen with Alvin Bragg's and the Letitia Jameses and things of that nature, whether it's directly or indirectly, I mean, we know that there are people working in Bragg's office that have connections to Biden and Kamala. It's all working in the opposition of how do we prevent our opponent from running against us. And he battled through it, survived assassination attempts. Here he is closing the finishing line. And hopefully they all just look like idiots next Tuesday.
I mean, that's definitely one thing to pull from that interview, because I think there were 2 things to pull from it. One, like you just mentioned, it's the sort of the lawfare and him ducking around who really Kamala Harris is and who she isn't, and who Donald Trump is and who he isn't. I mean, all he says is, did you see that what took place at Madison Square Garden? But then he doesn't continue with what he was saying. What did you see at Madison Square Garden that was so bad? What did you see? They never give detail. And then that's where I go back to the other part of the important part of the interview, and that's why I had Ryan play the whole thing. In the beginning, Joe Kernan is asking straight out, what part of Kamala Harris's policies are you most excited about? And he couldn't come up with one. If you were to take Ron DeSantis, who arguably would have every reason not to like Trump because of what Trump did to him during the primary, and you asked Ron DeSantis, come up with one thing that Donald J. Trump is going to do that is going to change America for the better, DeSantis would say he's going to lower taxes, which he's done already, and we could prove it. He's going to secure the border, which he tried to do already, and it started to work. I mean, he would be able to go down the list. There's nothing that a Democrat governor can come up with about Democrat Kamala Harris that is going to improve this country. It's just about she's the alternative to Trump. He, like all these other different idiots, have Trump derangement syndrome. And we will end on that. All right, later on tonight, 7 p.m. At teamdml.com and on the DML News app. We'll also post it some other places. It's an Ask DML episode. We have it tonight for you, half hour. We took 10 questions. Don't miss it. And also don't forget dmlcbd.com/BOGO for the buy one, get one free. And that's it. And then tomorrow, Mary and I will be with you here during the day. Dennis will be with Ryan on the controls. And then that is that. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. Make sure you get ready to go out and vote if you haven't already. And let's get Donald J. Trump back in office. Until the next time, may God bless you, our troops, these United States, and Donald J. Trump.
And today's Team DML blessing goes out to Debbie Harrow, and happy Halloween.
All right. Go for it, Debbie.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.